Hey, Chiefs, what's happening? Welcome to Chief Chat number 22. Good to have you with us. Let's enjoy a little Tom Waits this morning, why don't we? This is a song called I Like That Q Job, like an old time DJ. You know the song?
Sit right up, sit right up, sit right up. And everyone's a winner, bargains galore. That's right, you two be the proud owner. The quality goes in before the name goes on. 1/10 of a dollar, 1/10 of a dollar. We got service at the sale. How about perfume? We got perfume. How about an engagement ring? Some other little lady, some other little lady, some other little lady. $3 more. We got a year-end clearance. We got a white sale and a smoke damage furniture. You can drive away today. Act now, act now. And receive is our gift. Our gift to you. They come in all colors. One size fits all. No must go, fuss, no spill. You tired of kitchen drudgery. Everything must go. Going out of business, going out of business, going out of business. 50% off original retail price. Keep the middleman.
That's a Tom Waits, one of my favorite artists, one of the greatest songwriters ever to live. And that is a song about direct response. Step right up. So thought it was appropriate. Would have loved to played some Bowie today. Don't have a Bowie record on hand. Very sad to lose so many great entertainers this week. Alan Rickman, David Bowie, of course. I guess the only bright spot is we have to celebrate a life well lived. If you can make a living in show business at that level, I mean, forget just about like being able to have that be your job. But in the case of Bowie in particular, to inspire generations of people and go out the way he did, releasing a record days before his death, a final kiss to his fans. What more artistic way is there to go? It's a shame for anybody to have to suffer, and of course, die of a disease. But pretty poetic ending to an amazing career. And like a lot of people, it sent me down quite a Bowie rabbit hole this week. And I was always a Bowie fan, but I shouldn't call myself a true fan. I never really dove into his world and got to know the records like I have with a lot of other artists. So this week has been really enjoyable, if not a little melancholy deep dive of his catalog. Diamond Dogs in particular knocked me out. The thing about it is, a lot of artists, we just come to expect that there'll be the hit songs that we know, and then the rest of it will be okay or, kind of annoying. But I've yet to hear a record where I'm like, okay, you lost me here, Dave. It's just solid all the way through. I feel like what I've learned about Bowie this week is that, I think of him in context of some of his, the people he's most closely associated with, like Lou Reed. And I love Lou Reed, but Lou could be really self-indulgent at times, and that was part of the artistry. Whereas for me, my big takeaway with Bowie this week, after going deep into more of his stuff, is that he was a very generous entertainer. Like he really cared about making his stuff good and inspiring and envelope pushing and entertaining, right? So I really admire that. So you can't sit still listening to that bass line. Boom, 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 boom. So good to be here with everybody. I'm going to jump right in today because we have two hot seats. So I'm not going to spend any time covering the threads. I will, of course, send out the roundup later on. But let's dive right into these hot seats. We've got Russell and Andrew. So thank you guys for submitting yourselves up to the hot seat. I'm going to get a panel going here. So looks like I've got my full functions here, and I can invite some folks. Let's start with, let me just get Russell. Yeah, Lemmy. That's right. Lemmy from Motorhead also died. Sad, man. Okay. So, Russell, I am inviting you on as a speaker. If you need help figuring out how the controls work, I am no help to you because I've never been on that side of a hangout. Ross is always really helpful with that. I guess it's kind of weird, and it Jody's here. What's up, Jody? Madonna. Jody's such a big Madonna fan. I have trouble connecting those wires in my brain. There's Russell. Good, no problem. Now, let me get my headphones on so I can hear you. What's up, brother? Can you hear me? I can't hear you. Speak for me. Russell.
All right, you here?
I hear you. Yeah, I hear you, man.
All right, cool.
Oh, cool. Let me just change my audio source to the Rode here. There we go. Groovy. You can hear okay?
I can hear you great. Yep.
Great, man. And everybody else can hear.
Office.
Everybody else can hear Russell? Sweet.
I
Cool,
don't
man.
see any chat, but there we go.
Yeah, chat's over to the right there.
All right, got it.
Cool, brother. Well, welcome, and thanks for being here. I'm excited to do this with you today. Tell me, where are you?
Thanks for having me.
Where are you live from?
I am sitting in the parking lot of my kid's school in Denver, Colorado, and it's cold.
So you're in your car right now?
Yeah. They snuck a half day on me today, so
Oh,
I'm
really?
scrambling to cover.
Oh, wow. This is going to be very
So-
awkward if you're questioned, like if security rolls up on you and sees you like on a chat and you're like, sir, why are you in the school parking lot on talking to that weird bald dude? Hilarious.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. All right, well, let's get rocking here on your, let me get some panel going here. Webinar in the car. Yeah, let's get Angie involved. Always love having Angie. Jody, got to get Jody involved if you can, Jode. Bruce Chenoweth is here. What's up, Bruce? Let's get my man Ross on. Let's see. Andrew, you're up next. I see you there. Cool. Okay. I think that'll do us to tackle the big issue. Oh, there's John Belkowitz. Let me get John on. Groovy. And let me just dive over to your thread here. Now, okay, so you posted up a ton of links, which is cool. So, but essentially you've got, it's all the same offer. And so all these links are just going to different versions of the page. Let me get a link into the chat so everybody can see what we're talking about. There's my man John. There's Ross. There's Angie. Hey, guys. How are you? Good to see you.
What's up?
Yo. So you're in your car in a parking lot. Angie is in a cubicle at her agency. So, okay, great. You didn't stay home with Stella the cat. No Stella, no cat today. We need a cat. We only get that on special occasions like New Year's Day. Okay, so there's the thread, and I'm going to bring us over there. But before I do, all right, Russell, so just give us the quick breakdown, just like we do in the threads, so everybody on live with us now and during the replay kind of has some context. Tell us about the offer, the avatar, and where the traffic is coming from.
Alrighty, so this is for our main product. It's called Mind Boost Day. It's a brain cognitive enhancing supplement, and the audience that we're selling this to is primarily the aging baby boomers who are concerned with either dementia or the fear dealing with Alzheimer's disease, which is a terrifying disease. And so the market is really evenly divided, men and women. We found it is 55, 60 plus, and they're typically either experiencing some daily frustrations with memory loss, can't remember people's names, can't remember appointments, dates, things of that nature, or worse. And they're starting to say, all right, this is becoming a problem. I need to do something about it. What we're finding is the idea of a brain supplement is relatively new to people. So there's a bit of an education. Everyone is familiar with taking a vitamin for their body, but not a lot of people are thinking taking a vitamin or a supplement for their brain. This is a survey funnel based on Ryan's work. We tried to model it as close as possible. So the copy is almost identical to his training in the survey funnel. Yes, Angie, it's Levesque. And the challenge I'm having is I've had my nose in this for 2 years now, and it's like I can't see the forest through the trees any longer. So this page currently, people opting into the survey at about 20%. We need to get it up to around 50% for this to be profitable. So it's more about this landing page, and it's coming from either affiliate traffic, people with email lists, so we get to do a bit of an introduction to it, or we're running Facebook ads to it.
Great. And the goal is to get them into the survey funnel, and is the end goal to have them purchase right after the funnel, or is there a follow-up series after that action of, for filling out the survey?
It's same-day sales. There is an email follow-up series, but the goal is to basically, we need it to convert same-day sales.
When you're saying it converts at, what, 50% now, that's just people going through the survey, yeah?
Correct. So they land on one of these, and the variations I put up are all variations on the same theme, where we test design, except for the last 2 or 3 of them have a bit more message behind them. So yeah, the goal is the VSL converts really well on the back end. It's getting people to go through and hit, take the quiz button. And I feel like the messaging, we're just not clear on why they should do that. Like, there's the benefits not there for them.
Right.
Obviously.
Melanie, could you raise your hand for me too? I can't. What I'm learning is if somebody hasn't commented in the chat, then I can't invite you, which is weird. Oh, there's April too. Let me get April here. We're gonna have a big panel today. I'll just get everybody on screen. I'll grab as many of you as you can. If you really got something to say, just like do one of these. Just raise your hand, or you can raise your hand in the. I guess there's an option for that too. So, all right, cool, Russell. I know you got like 15 minutes before you actually have to leave your car.
I'm okay.
You are?
As long as I'm here, I can see him. So yeah,
okay,
I'm not in a huge rush now.
All right, good. So I'm going to pull up. Let me get over to my screen. Okay, there's Melanie. This is exciting. I love having this panel. How cool is this, Russell?
I know, it's awesome. I've been looking forward to this for like 2 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, it's like amazing that we get to do this. Cool. And there's April. Hey, April. April Dykeman, everybody, who had an awesome post on Copy Chief this week, all about proof and trust and show, don't tell, and all that stuff. So there's April, and let me see, Melanie. Yep, you should be coming on soon. I am going to switch over. So Russ, shout out if Ross, shout out if I need to know something that's happening on screen or something, please, because I'll be on the other page. Okay. So I'm sharing my screen now. Let's present to everyone here. Hey, Melanie, how are you?
Hey.
Good to see you. Cool. So I think this is this is a page. I think Russ, that you said you're happiest with right now, yeah, or at least you personally think looks the best.
That one is, yeah, that one's modeled off of another survey funnel. The design of it is that we know is converting. God, they're opting in around 80%. But obviously the messaging is different. It's an entirely different product, but that page design is what's converting at that level.
Okay, cool. So let's just look at it like Cold Prospect would. Memory loss quiz. Do you experience occasional memory loss? Has it been getting worse lately? Do you know if the problem is a serious health concern? What is your memory loss type? Yeah, discover your memory loss type and your risk factor. So I really liked that memory loss type. I thought that was a good curiosity. And then my first thought after that was nothing drew me in deeper to that idea. So instinctively, I was hoping to see a brief summary of the types. Have you played with that at all?
Well, that middle column there, it probably isn't just.
Yeah, what are
the four memory loss types?
Okay, good. So one possibility to test right off the bat might just be sticking to that under here, right? Making all this about those four types. I'd love to see like photos like if you could do 4 columns. Type 1 is this, type 2 is this, you know, and then just be vague enough to make me go, I bet that's me, or oh crap, this could be me too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, after working with thousands of people around the world struggling with memory loss problems, we have determined that challenges of memory loss are due to 9 specific triggers. Every person is unique. There's a number of factors taken into consideration. Once you determine the memory loss type, you can create a specific plan that will significantly improve your overall. Okay, so I think, yeah, for me, like that would be more effective because, I try to think like the most distracted prospect in the world because that's what they all are, right? And so if I'm coming here and this is a real concern for me, and you've got me hooked with a memory loss type, I really dig that. I just want to see what the types are and begin to start self-identifying, and that is a great way for you to prove to me that you know a lot about this, because everything else you're kind of saying is it's like you're just wanting to convince me that I should trust you and you know what you're doing, and it's really all about you, right? If you keep this all about me and go, hey, you got these problems up top, these 3 questions, you're letting me know that there's a thing, there's different types of memory loss, and now I want to go, well, is this real? Let me validate it. Let me try to see myself in one of these options, and then I'm much more compelled to take the quiz. And the other note I had was that when I watched just the beginning of the VSL, I think it also suffered a little bit, Russell, of it being more about you than them. Also, and I get it that you have to be. It's important to validate yourself and make sure that they believe you, but we have to remember first to make it all about them, and then credentialize unless they're hooked in and intrigued to find out more. It doesn't matter if they believe you or not. if it doesn't pass that test first, right?
Right.
So that's my general note. Who's got something else? Anybody? Yeah, Melanie?
I got something.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, here's what I think would be super cool. So I went through this with my grandma, and her 4 complaints were, I wrote them down, I lose my keys, I lose my train of thought, I forget appointments, and I forget names. And so if it says, what is your memory loss type as the headline, and then it had 4 buttons that visually represented those 4 things, like a picture of keys, and then you click one of the 4, then all 4 of those buttons redirect to the exact same place, which helps you learn more about memory loss, and now you're in the quiz based on what they're reporting as their most important symptom.
Cool idea. I like that. So make it symptom-driven to engage them into the course.
Yes.
Yeah.
For great idea.
We're actually testing that in an email, I think, that went out today. So that the links in the email are the symptoms. That's a great idea, yeah. I like it on the page.
Because it's so visual, because anybody who's starting to lose their memory or worries they're losing their memory is kind of suspicious of their own thoughts. So what would inspire them to trust themselves to read that copy?
Yeah, exactly.
Great point. Excellent. Thank you, Melanie. Great point.
Yeah, thank you.
Anybody else follow up on that, or okay, Angie? Yep, you're muted, so just take care of that. There you go. Hey.
Can you hear me all right?
Yep.
I'm muted in case anybody comes by to say hi and bug me about a project. So I haven't seen this until this morning, so forgive me for not having much information, but the thing that struck me was that you have the opportunity to create some characters here, right? You already have 4 memory types. What if these were 4 people that embodied those characteristics that you were trying to get people to focus on? So if they see themselves as that person that is constantly losing their keys, or they see themselves as that person, you know, this quiz will help them figure out the solution to their problems. It's basically just bringing that information to the front instead of hiding it in the back, and that way you get them to go through the funnel and learn what you're all about.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it sure does to me. That's a cool idea, and it kind of like loops back around to I think what I was trying to say, and incorporates what Melanie said, that you know what we could do to optimize what I'm saying, the 4 types. Maybe it's like you name the type, and then you put characteristics of that type based on how to know, semicolon, bullets under there, constantly losing keys, constantly forgetting appointments, whatever. If you could take those symptoms and attach them to different like characters or types, that's another cool test. But Melanie, you're saying just like really just go straight to the symptoms and let that be the thing that helps them decide. I mean, based on that, Melanie, in your concept, would that be just adding more work to the same, putting stuff in way of the same effect, or do you think that would add to it?
I think they could work together. So, at least for my grandma, which is unscientific and not statistically relevant, but her deal was I lose my keys, and then if she were to go from there to, oh, I'm not the only one who loses my keys, here's a short story or a description of somebody else who goes through the same thing. So then the character would come in there. So the button would be a picture of the keys. You click on it, and now you're reading a little bit more about what that might be like. And also, there's a big worry about what does this mean? Does the fact that I'm losing my sleep, or does it mean that I'm actually getting dementia? Then now you've got an opportunity for some education, because in those early years, there are some things you can do to stave off symptoms, and a lot of people don't know that. So there's an opportunity to deal with fear.
That's exactly the hook I think we're hoping for with this is, that fear of getting Alzheimer's or dementia, and by identifying this memory loss type, you can then get a prescription for, the best preventative measures. But obviously it's not being said here.
So I guess the questions are, hey, I keep losing my keys, and so that's my pain point. And then it's, am I crazy, as in, am I normal, or am I weird? Because that's really the biggest worry. And am I losing my mind? That's a big worry.
Yeah.
And then, am I alone in this? So an opportunity to bring in the characters. So aging is totally normal. You're not alone. There are things we can do. This is going to be fine.
I love the idea. It's like linking it immediately to the fact that there could be a bigger problem here. And Russell, you've got that in this third line, but it's a little bit buried, and maybe making a more direct promise of this quiz is going to help you. You got to be careful with the wording here, obviously, but discover or take a step toward learning and discovering whether this is something more serious, or if it's something you can do. You can simply exercise away with brain training and stuff, right? Losing your key. Like, I keep losing my keys in strip clubs, right? Which is it's a whole nother product entirely. And so I don't know if this would apply. You're kidding. I don't know. I'd never lose my keys. But no. But you know what I really thought though was I wonder if, because there's most people in your demographic are probably on some kind of prescription medicine, right? And so
that's one of the 4 types.
Okay, perfect. Because I'll tell you right now, I occasionally take Ambien, and there was a report not long ago about people who took Ambien longer than what's supposed to be the I think it's 90 days is like the longest you're ever supposed to take it. I've been taking it for a decade. So when a report came out that said, it's proven in people who took it beyond the 90 days to increase their odds of developing Alzheimer's, and the fact that my grandmother died of Alzheimer's really got my attention. So I think that might be something worth. I love that that's one of the types, because that's the one for me that I'd be like, like I'm just looking for any information, whether that's real or not, and what I can do about it.
Yeah.
So, cool. All right. Some people kind of froze up on me here.
One point there. I'm not sure. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yep.
So at one point, Jody brought it up, and it's a very good point. But like, what's the benefit of knowing? Like, is there something that can be done about it? Like, you're kind of talking there about like finding out if it's a more serious condition, but like, do I really want to find out? Like, do I?
Yeah.
If I don't know, I can fix it. Like, do I really want to know what the problem is? Like, because it's just one more thing to worry about, right? There's no promise that if I go through this, there's an actual benefit for me. Like right now, it just sounds like I'm going to have more stress because, hey, I've just confirmed that I am losing my memory, right? That thing that I was hoping isn't true actually is true. So that's one thing that like Jody bring up, and I think it does need to be implied. If you can't promise the solution yourself, you need to promise that at least by taking this first step, they're on the way to that solution.
Yeah, I agree. Thank you.
I just thought that Jody had the same joke in the comments. Did he write the joke before I said it?
Oh, we'll have to go back and look at the timestamps.
This is like,
I was.
or are you tagging mine?
I was much later.
Okay, good. That's like the comic's worst fear is like, oh no, somebody already did the joke, and I'm just like, what's up, buddy? Good to see you, man.
Good to see you too.
Jody coming to us from the dark skies of Great Britain over there.
Oh no, it's not nighttime. The weather's just that bad.
It's actually noon there.
It's the apocalypse. That's all.
Good to see you, man. What are your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, I think Ross just made the point there that just sort of going back, it's sort of a flip side of what you were saying, that the benefit of knowing isn't clear. That fine, I get to know my memory loss type, but why? What is it? What does this actually do for me? And I think maybe something clearer about knowing your memory loss type is the first step to being able to do something about it. That actually knowledge is better than having no knowledge. And once you take this very, very minor step, you actually this is the first step on a path to actually developing a strategy that you can go on, and you can actually either discover whether this is you are on the road to dementia, but more likely that you have an opportunity to actually do something about it.
Yeah, it's a great note. So write in, be bold about the benefit of knowing, Russell, is Jody's note, and I think it's a great note. It's like, you tell them exactly why they should take the quiz and how it's going to help them immediately on the other side of it.
Yeah, and I think it's an extra point on top of that is I'm assuming each of the memory loss types has a very distinct solution to it, right? Like one solution does, correct me if I'm wrong, but like one solution doesn't take care of all of them or three of them. Like you have to take separate actions and a separate course of action for each one. Would that be accurate?
Yeah.
Yeah, so I would definitely hint to that as well, that you need to identify it, because if you don't get the specific course of action that you need, you might potentially take some other course of action that you think is to improve your memory loss situation, but it might be for a different type, and then you've wasted all this time and maybe forgot about the quiz.
That's actually a great expert positioning thing to do as well. That I don't know whether the level of mistrust among doctors or people that aren't specialists in this, but it's almost as though you're giving them the knowledge to be able to have a sensible conversation on it. So it's a great positioning point, but it's also empowering from their point of view.
Your thoughts on that, Russell?
Yep. Just taking notes here.
Yep. And you know, how your research is in this demographic. Give me a little more history on the product. You know, how long it's been out there. Do you have customers? Are you having dialogue with customers? How much do we know about your avatar here?
It's there was a thread on Copy Chief earlier. I forgot the guy who posted it about supplements and how we're our own worst enemy. But the brain health space is really broken up into two kind of schools of thought, and they're two different demographics. We originally started selling this product to the younger professionals who wanted that, you know, competitive edge, or students that wanted to have a better memory for taking tests, etc.
Yeah.
We spent a year on that market, and we were completely off base. The market is really in the longer-term brain health with the baby boomers, and so the market then, everyone's looking for this, you know, smart pill where you take the pill and you win at Jeopardy tomorrow. But it just doesn't work that way, you know.
I beat Watson. You get a T-shirt. Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, our product. There are products out there that, you know, have been shown that will help you with focus and improving your cognitive abilities. Today, if you take this pill, you're gonna think better. But they extract a price. It's just like your Ambien, you know. It'll help you sleep tonight, but there's a price to pay on the backside.
Exactly.
So
right.
we're more into the long-term preventative. Just feed your brain. This helps with blood flow. This helps with rebuilding a lot of the cellular structure within your brain. Although we have amazing testimonials that we get, you know, 5 or 6 a week from people.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something where it's like taking a calcium supplement. You're not gonna feel your bones getting stronger, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the challenge with this market is they have that expectation,
right,
but that's not what it is.
Okay. I worked with. You familiar with Jim Quick? He has Quick Learning. He's a memory expert, and his market is the market you mentioned. But the difference is now his is brain training, not a supplement, right? And so maybe that's an important distinction. He does pretty well, and he does a lot of demonstration, and a lot of, like, when he does a launch, he'll do 3 videos in pre-launch that give an exercise per video, and he gets great engagement on that. I always, I think there's a fine line in oversatiating your best prospects in pre-launch, with free material, but I wonder if there's, more room for testimonials and that kind of stuff. Do you have testimonials with this? Yeah.
Oh yeah, we get a couple a week from people.
All right, cool. So on that note, let's bring on our show don't tell expert, Miss April Dykman.
Actually, I would love to get into that, but because I'm really familiar with Ryan's survey funnel formula, there's a couple of other things. One thing that I noticed is that in a couple of spots you call it a quiz, and that's one thing Ryan says to never do because nobody wants to take a quiz. They might want to take an assessment. And to like what other people were saying about why they should take this, that is dead on. But I would say it from the very beginning. Like, if you find out what your memory loss score is, you're going to get this customized report on how to, whatever it is, like retrain your brain or whatever the lawyers say you're allowed to say about that.
Right.
So yeah, so I would make that what you're giving them, because then on the back end you have your custom VSLs. You're doing that, right, where you're gonna do the 4 different types of VSLs, and then the prospect sequence, the same thing. You can give them their customized whatever it is at that point. One other thing you might try testing is instead of your memory loss score, instead of your memory loss type, your memory loss score. Because a few people had brought up the idea that some people just want to know how bad it is, and so score would speak to that a little bit more than type would. So that's something else that I would try. And then I think those were my main notes on that. Oh, are you familiar with RocketMemory.com?
Yeah, I mean, of course, and that's the touchy part of this is we don't want to copy too much,
Right.
and we're working with Ryan on this. You know, we don't want to. He's a big, you know, we don't want to steal his funnel, so
Yeah.
we could very well go out and just do the same thing.
Yeah,
It works
and
really well, but
maybe just look at what he's doing and be
yeah,
inspired.
yeah.
Okay.
He's actually in the rocket memories in the back end of this, so.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, that explains that.
You mean offering their stuff or the software?
Yeah, because we're dealing with kind of the hardware issues, and Rocket Memory is dealing with the kind of software issues. So they
Okay.
work hand in hand together.
Gotcha.
That's cool.
Is rocketmemory.com, is that a survey?
Yeah, it's Ryan's original.
Upton?
Yeah.
Let's see if we can.
I don't know that he has his survey funnel set up on it now. I think it's
Oh.
ESL and you get a toolkit.
Yeah, there's a mini
Very
course.
dated version of it.
3 days to better memory. Okay. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. This is all very
Thank
helpful.
you,
Yeah,
April.
go ahead, April. If you want to go on about proof and show don't tell.
Yeah, so one of the things that I noticed is when you introduce yourself, I need more there because I don't know what a brain health specialist is, and that one automatically sends up like red flags for me that it's just some made-up thing. So I'd like to know more about your background. It could be like how many people you've helped, how long you've been in this business, anything that tells me that you're for real. So that's definitely a place I would add proof. And then I noticed in the comments a lot of people mentioned, giving us the names of the studies, and I saw that you already did that, so that was really great. But yeah, I would beef up your personal proof so that right away I know you're somebody I can trust.
Okay.
What are some ways he would do that, April? Would he have space on the landing page itself, with like a little bio box kind of a thing, or?
Yeah, and I was even thinking in the VSL when he introduces himself and says, "I'm a brain health specialist." I need a little bit more about like I've been in this business how many years? I've helped this many people. I mean anything that establishes that. I'd put that in the VSL and on the page.
Mm-hmm.
Good stuff. Cool. Thank you so much.
Yep. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, this has been great so far, Russell. What else? I mean, we've given you a bunch of stuff to change. Is that pretty much? Does that give you a good starting point? Yeah.
Absolutely. I greatly appreciate everyone's comments and feedback and experience, and definitely have a lot to work with now.
Great. Excellent. Cool. Well, we'll keep up with you in the follow-up threads. Maybe you can just even like tag it Hot Seat Follow-up or something, and we'll see the next rendition, and we can all learn together, man. That's what it's all about.
Yep. I appreciate it, man. I love your site, Kevin. So.
Thanks. I appreciate it, man. It takes a
all
village, as you see here.
Yep.
All right. So I'm gonna.
And thank you, everyone.
Yes. Thank you, everyone. All right.
Cheers, Russell.
We're gonna bring Andrew on.
Check out.
I'm gonna hit eject. Yeah, you can just close out and it should disappear. So cool. All right, buddy. See you. Groovy. All right. Let's get to. Thank you, everybody. That was really good. And let's get Andrew on. Mr. Wayfinder. I like that. What I'm assuming is a nom de plume.
Let's see if he can find his way here.
You find your way onto this chat, Andrew.
So I just posted up the link to his description,
Okay, cool.
or his final description of what he'd like help with.
Great. All right. Yeah, let me, I think I got him in another
Yeah, I think he said earlier, Kurt, that he was trying to join. Where did he say? I have a question. He said, but he can't get on. Oh, there he is. He just.
I hadn't invited him yet at that point.
Is that working?
Yes. Hello, Andrew.
Hey.
Hey, Ross.
What's up, Andrew? Now, there's a guy who looks exactly like his photo, which is usually not the case. You're really living up. Already, your authenticity is through the roof with me.
Oh, okay. Well, I did spend some time doing online dating, and I discovered very quickly that people lie like hell.
I'm sure. I can only imagine. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember once, meeting someone in person, and it was like, oh my God, that photograph is at least 10 years old. And
yeah, and if somebody of different race and stature, yeah, that's hilarious.
Okay, I'm getting a lot of Webinar Jam type requests for.
Oh, you get a little.
Okay, I think it's worked. Okay,
all right.
Cool.
Well, we see and hear you, so. April's on delay. I don't know which one of my jokes just landed, but we're good.
That was Jody in the comments.
Oh yeah. Grindr profile. Hilarious. Jody's so funny. All right, sweet. Now, did you manipulate Channing at all, or you just go straight for it? Like it wasn't even.
He was asleep. It was fine.
Good stuff. All right, let's. Andrew, thanks for being here. Thanks for doing this. Give us the summary. Tell us about the product. Tell us about the. How long you've been at it? Are there sales? Is it brand new? Where the traffic is coming from, and what's the number one thing we can help with?
Yeah. Okay. So very briefly, I'm an architect turned psychotherapist turned sort of intuitive healer / witch doctor.
Okay.
And what I basically do is woo-woo that works. And but the long and the short of it is I work sort of as a coach / therapist with one-to-one clients. I found that if people aren't willing to spend about 6 months with me, it's not really worth working with me because I just become kind of a Band-Aid rather than a long-term solution. So I've kind of learned over time that that's the best way to work with people. And I've also, the big kahuna, or the Rolls Royce, is a 6-month mixture of a small group of people meeting for a monthly workshop and one-to-one sessions with me. And the ideal clients have, over time, proven to be 35 to roughly 40-year-old executive corporate, largely women, about 6 women to every guy, who are pretty high-powered, facing some kind of professional jump or office politics or some kind of crisis that's got them rethinking what's my life really about. Poster child for this process was Shelley, who was a particle physicist, PhD from Cambridge, head of a research lab, taken 15 years to get to the position, and was sitting there on the one hand sort of going, holy cow, I've arrived.
Mm-hmm.
Oh shit, what am I going to do with it?
Mm-hmm.
Am I really up to the challenge? And at the same time, she was going through some kind of a spiritual awakening experience and was freaking out over, how do I mix science and rationality with this mystical stuff? And am I going to have to quit my job and become a yoga teacher? And that this comes up with a number of clients who they're in rather high-powered conventional positions, and something happens and they're kind of broken wide open and they're kind of freaked out about it.
Mm.
The path up until now has been, I've been doing this work for about 3.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
One-to-one sessions. My major form of exposure has been through a meetup, which is where I've been doing evening talks and workshops. It's allowed me to develop the skill of presenting the work, but it's not a particularly good pool of people. The people who come through the meetup tend to be kind of looking for entertainment. They don't have a lot of money to spend, so it's been a good place to learn. But the clients who show up and do, you know, the 6 months work and pay, you know, £1,000 to £2,000 without batting an eyelash haven't really come through the meetup. They've come through sort of serendipity. They've stumbled across my website and said, I need to talk to you.
How does that sale usually go down? Is there you have an option for a free consult, some kind of
well,
thing?
the physicist would actually be a very good example because she actually stumbled on the meetup.
Okay.
And I was doing a introductory event, you know, in a local park on a Sunday afternoon for £25, and was a little disappointed when only one person showed up. And it happened to be her. And we had this very free-flowing, long-ranging, you know, conversation. And she had some experiences where I took her into a meditation, and, you know, she found herself connecting. And on the back of that, we had a second discussion where I then outlined, we had more of a typical coaching exploration of your life type thing. And on the back of that, I said, look, in a few weeks, I'm starting this 6-month thing. And she said, I'm in. Here's my check. So when the right people come across, it is literally no sale.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens that quickly. The challenge has been finding where these right people are.
Okay. When you say a 6-week thing, how do you present that?
6 month.
6 month. Is it one-on-one? Is it group? How does it all run?
It's a mixture of. It's something that's evolved over sort of workshops and things, and I've done it about 3 years in a row.
Okay.
So the actual format is a group of about 5 people. The work is so intense I couldn't hold more than 5 people in a group at a time.
Yeah.
There's a lot of processing and sharing. And we meet once a month. At the moment it's been in person, but there's no reason it couldn't be done online. And we meet anywhere from half a day to a day and a half. And in one instance, towards the middle of the process, it's a 2-day workshop once a month. And then they meet with me one-to-one once a month in between to kind of integrate what's happened on the weekend, on the workshop. And so the first theme is there's sort of 3 legs, one where you're dealing with kind of love and relationships, one weekend where you're dealing with money and career type stuff, and one where you're dealing with health and illness. And you're dealing with kind of the unconscious blocks and fears and limitations, and there's very deep material that shapes that in each of our lives.
Sure, right.
And by working with the unconscious, people can in a weekend, you know, unpack stuff that would take months, if not years, in therapy. And
Sure,
I'm speaking
imagine.
as a therapist that you know, this is what I've seen happen. And then in the one-to-one session in between, we work personally to integrate and deal with whatever happens. So on the one hand, in the workshops and whatever, quote, problems they might be dealing with, they get solved.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not really the benefit. The benefit is that over the 6 months of working with me, with this tapping into your intuition process and tapping into, you know, something spiritual, you walk away living in the world in a different way.
Yeah.
You know, you have this connection, you feel grounded and connected and part of something much bigger than yourself, and it's very, very comforting.
Yeah.
And to give an example of, the physicist, not only is she back in the lab, fully integrating this intuitive side with the mysticism and with the science, she's actually going into these sort of trance states and somehow meeting the essence of undiscovered materials. And they're teaching her how to discover them. She's coming back with diagrams of crystal lattices and sort of intuitive prompts to look at particular research papers. And it's kind of hard stuff to imagine, but it is literally what's taking place.
So it's like she's developed a little mental Yoda who's guiding her in all facets of her life.
Well, I think we can access, what Jung would call the collective unconscious. we
Yeah.
can access, levels of information and understanding that are much larger than the rational mind.
Sure. Okay.
So,
All right.
so
Well,
that's
we're pretty
that's the
deep into
background.
that. Okay, cool. So what?
Yeah.
So back to the marketing world for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. It sounds great, and I appreciate that opportunity to really understand what you do and that you're a true practitioner in it, and you're getting results for people. So what? I mean, but it feels like the whole process of having prospects enter your world is really kind of haphazard, right? You're doing meetups and things, and people are kind of hearing
Yeah.
about you, and like we can't have we can't wait for the universe to guide people to your funnel here. So what?
No, it's complete. I agree. It's completely haphazard and very
Yeah.
hit or miss.
So
Feast
what?
famine.
Okay, so what assets have you created in regards to content, or do you have a website with a landing page and an opt-in, a lead magnet, that sort of stuff?
I have probably tried over the years half a dozen different landing pages and
Yeah, I remember you saying that.
sites and names and programs, and I've drunk a lot of marketing Kool-Aid.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So it's stock, and you probably, some of it you didn't stick with long enough, and other things just didn't feel right. And so as a result of all that, there's really nothing converting anyone right now. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think there's definitely been a lack of consistency and follow-through, because a real sense of, I don't, I would try someone's model for a while, and on the whole, I had an interesting consult with Tom Poland. It was sort of a mad Australian. And he had, I think, a very good insight. He says, you're not, you're a boutique phenomena. You're not a high-flow traffic phenomena. And I think he had a pretty good point there. The question is how to create the right boutique and put it on the right street corner.
Why is it a boutique? Because you're so limited in how many people you can work with at a time?
I think so. I mean, I have looked at ways of scaling it up, and while I have done a weekend workshop with 18 people in the room, and they had, certain benefits, I wouldn't be able to sort of personally keep an eye or an ear on everybody's kind of process.
Right.
In that, so if I was trying to do a long-term 6-month thing, I wouldn't be able to do that with them.
Is the goal only to have run these groups, or would you like to create like an info product or other things around what you teach and deliver?
Well, I have delivered, a 7-week course which was basically built around developing your intuition and learning the basic skills, and that went off fairly well. So there is
fairly well, like 1,000 people bought, 20 people bought.
Well, no. I mean, this was through the meetup, physical location.
Okay.
And like many physical things, I had 12 people sign up for the course, and I think at the end 7 people actually completed it. People
that sounds
had
about right. Yeah,
I think it's any course.
Right. Yeah.
Work conflicts and things like that,
Okay.
train strikes and what have you.
All right. So in order for us to give you the most help, I guess we got to. What is your number one goal here? What can we solve for you? I mean, you looking to get people into your world so that you can have dialogue, learn more about what's going to make them, motivate them to either sign up with you or help you discover new ways that you can help them. What is the goal here?
I think the very simple thing is to come up with a funnel that I sort of believe in, that would take somebody who came across me, whether it's through a Facebook ad, a LinkedIn ad, or serendipity, to go from
prospect to customer.
Yeah, go from prospect to I'll download this meditation or this little exercise. Oh, that was cool. Let me check out maybe a 10-minute chat with a guy, a kind of a screening call, which then would lead into a more serious, maybe paid consultation, and then the other thing that I'm looking into is creating a webinar funnel.
Okay. All right, good. So I'll just start there, and then I'll let the crew weigh in here. I think the thing, well, obviously the thing you need to do is stick with one thing, right? And so let's, okay, Jody, let's, when you say a funnel you're comfortable with, I mean, the fact that you've sort of suffered shiny object syndrome when it comes to different marketing options, and that it's really important to you that you feel good about the content, which are both very valid and understandable things. I would say just create the most fundamentally proven thing there is in the world, which is nice looking landing page with a very desirable lead magnet based on the assets you have or can create, and the thing people want and that moves the needle for them, right? You've done these workshops, you know who the avatar is. You may want a different avatar. This idea that the only prospect worth having is the one who can invest 6 months and all this money. No one's showing up to your any of your world or your content with that in mind. Like nobody's showing up ready to do that. And concept, because instinctively we want the quicker fix. But even if they are willing to say, I'll give you a year of my life if you can fix me, there's several steps along the way for you to become that person for them, right? Mm-hmm. And so we have to think about like baby stepping them into your world and doing what Dan Kennedy calls like the incubation period. Like Dan would never get on the phone with anybody or even communicate, fire up the fax machine unless somebody like proved that they've been through his world and like totally understand how Dan works and thinks and what his fees are and all those things, right? And so I think for you, because your ultimate goal is to have the higher end client, you should apply some of that same criteria. The requirement for that is going to be that you create several assets that can step people into the deeper understanding of what you do and give them some wins along the way. Mm-hmm. That makes sense?
Yeah, and I think to a certain extent that's what happened in the meetup process. Was that I had an evening talk, a half-day workshop, a one-day workshop, and the 6-month thing actually developed out of what I saw happen with a few clients who took every workshop they could, and they did a lot of one-to-one work with me, and I realized there was a synergy between doing workshops over time and the one-to-one work that was creating these 80-20 type results.
Right.
And that's what prompted me to offer first a 3-month version and then a 6-month version.
Okay. Let's hear from Jody.
Yeah, I was just really following on from what you said about you're being the guide, you're the guide, and that what it sounds like that people who come to you in the first place, they come with you searching for something but having no real idea about how it is they're going to resolve the issue or how it is they're going to resolve the problem, so that you're in that position to shape that relationship really early on. But the other question I'd ask you is, have you spoken to the people that you have helped who've been through this 6-month program and discovered what it is, how they were searching for solutions to this problem before they came to you?
You mean literally what sort of search terms they were using or how they came across
me?
Yeah,
how did they? Because they got to you somehow. They all came to you somehow. So what was the process? Were they aware that they had an issue? Where did their journey take them before they arrived at your door?
Yeah, well, I would say that a few of them came sort of like the physicists. They were searching, and they stumbled across either the meetup or the website, and they joined the meetup and did an event, or they came across the practice website and just called me up and sort of did maybe a session or two, and then in each case I said, hey, I've got this group thing starting in a few weeks, and they said, yeah, that looks perfect, and then they dove into it. The other major strand was referrals from a body worker person who had done a workshop with me. Just a weekend thing, It made a big shift in his life. He came back a few months later with his girlfriend. They both did it again. And then occasionally he'll have a client where he'll tell them, hey, look, this thing that's in your body is not just in your body. It's in your emotions and your soul, and go see this guy, me.
Right. So, okay. So cool. I mean, so these conversations are happening. There is a process. There is something to reverse engineer here.
There is a breadcrumb trail. It's just that it's only happened a few times.
Right. Okay. So that's why we have to just, again, like create. You said you have hypnosis audios. I'm assuming. Do you give those as a free download now?
Well, I just realized that that's probably going to be the best form of lead magnet, because the stuff I do is not really tips and techniques-y per se. It's really much more. I work a lot with sound, with drumming, with voice, with suggestion, and I've been told I have a good voice. Yeah. So I think that the lead magnet being a 7 or a 9 minute guided experience that would give you a taste of this around de-stressing, grounding, and centering. Because that is sort of a thing that I think a lot of people are looking for, and it's also one of the major benefits that clients who come through this 6 months or 9 months later say, my life is completely transformed, but I can't tell you how. That it is so. I mean, I've been doing this stuff for years, and I still can't really talk about it.
Wow. Yeah, that's a problem. So Angie, well, it kind of leads into what Angie's saying, and Paul's saying, thank you, Paul, for this great comments.
Well, I agree. I've definitely, both as a therapist and as a quote healer, I'm stepping away more and more from the nuts and bolts and more about the experience or the results.
And your thoughts?
Sorry, I'm also proofing some work, so I missed the last part of it.
Well, you said, about the idea of not, what's some advice we can give Andrew about how to tease what he does without giving away the farm there?
Yeah, I covered that a little bit in the forum, which is, I also live in California. And I also believe a lot in the power of mindset and bringing things to you by believing that they're possible. But I don't necessarily believe in, aligning, access and access bars. I know I have some friends that work in access consciousness and things like that. So that's automatically going to trigger their skeptic mindset, right? If they don't necessarily believe in that. What you want to do is incite their curiosity. So if you're kind of not giving away the farm right up front, then you have an option for an even bigger audience to be interested in what you do. And then maybe you even convert some skeptics who go talk to their friends and say, I thought this was a bunch of hocus, but once I went through it, it changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that was certainly my experience. I am, on some levels, the last person on the planet who would do this kind of work, if you knew what kind of family and background I come from.
Well, there's a good story right there, then, right? Yeah. I mean, I think the thing is, you're really just gonna have to kind of step out and decide who you are and how you want people to experience you, and start teaching. Right? I mean, I'll preach to teach one more time. Like the more we're teaching and being helpful and delivering value, the more the right people are going to be drawn in, and then it's just a numbers game. Once and you're always developing new lead magnets and things over time, but don't abandon the things that you create under the just because you get bored or distracted. Like you're really going to have to commit to some stuff and say, rather than it's been 4 months and I'm sick of this thing, or I had this new idea. Make it based on traffic or stats, or at least 1,000 people have seen this lead magnet offer, or even 200 or something, and you go like, okay, nobody's opted in for it. Maybe it's off target, right?
Okay.
And so just like state some very specific goals on how you can decide if what you're delivering to people is effective in regards to making them a customer, or at least a hotter prospect. John Belkowitz, you know, you build a lot of these funnels. You do a lot of coaching and these kinds of things. You know, you have a particular method or insight to sort of reverse engineering the end result back to where it would begin for you know, a new set of prospects?
Yeah, so I'll just throw an idea out, kind of knowing not too much about the intangibles of your business. So one thing that I would do after looking over some of your comments on your thread is, so send them to a landing page, but start with what's already in their head. So if you're confident that, let me just take a quick look here. One of the things you pointed out or mentioned was, is this really all there is to my life, right? If that literally is how they're coming to you, I would start with that, right? And let them know that there's actually a lot more to your life. You just don't realize it yet. I'm going to show you how to discover it, and it doesn't require, what's an objection you put here? Having to give up everything you've worked so hard for, right?
Mm-hmm.
What I would do is try to create a mechanism or a system around what you do. So I'm just going to totally make something up here. Let me know if it rings true at all, or maybe it just doesn't apply. But so if their current mindset is that they're looking for life's purpose, but they just can't find it, right? So let's visualize sort of the intangible. Let's make it very tangible and concrete. You have a circle. In the middle of the circle is life's purpose, right? Draw a circle around that, divide it up into like 7 pieces of the pie. 4 of those 7 are things that they know right now that are affecting they're questioning their life's purpose. So profession, family, friends, and let's just say sort of worldview, politics, kind of State of the Union type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
3 of those things on the landing page would be grayed out. Those are the things you focus on that you talk about in your thread here, that you have a unique blend of psychological, spiritual, and intuitive. So those are the 3 pieces that they're missing, right? Now they can see your wayfinder wheel of life purpose, whatever you want to call it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've got 4 of the 7 pieces that they're aware of, 3 pieces that they're not, but now that they know that something is missing, those are the things that you help with. Opt in, you'll find out on the other side of that. Now on the other side of that, maybe you have 3 videos, one for the psychological aspect, one for the spiritual, one for the intuitive, and you sort of educate them through what you deal with. You don't have to give them the specifics of how you'll work with them. You save that for an offer, but you start to kind of create this mechanism.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and you actually, because your challenge is to take the esoteric. I've dealt with this in my own personal training business back in the day. I was very much a mind-body guy, and so when somebody would ask me what I do, I never had an answer for it, because it was kind of, you needed to experience it. It was about the experience. It was the process, right? It wasn't any one particular thing. So I struggled with that for a long time. It wasn't until I actually created a system like that, a visual, where they could see what they know now. They could see sort of what the goal was and see what they were missing in a concrete way, even though they didn't have the specifics. That helped a lot. So I don't know if any of that kind of...
No, that's brilliant, because I actually have a bit of a rather long lead magnet thing, but part of it is 3 sort of paper and pencil quizzy type things, and one of them, and they could actually fit almost perfectly into those 3 categories.
Cool.
Right.
You know, so that, that's a cool idea, because then it could lead to a little video with me taking you through each one of them, 3 videos.
Right.
Cool. Yeah, great.
Because again, you have to make the intangible tangible.
Yeah.
Because you can't sell the intangible. even if I come to your page and I know, okay, I'm looking for purpose in my life and meaning, I'm having these problems. If I'm reading your copy and it's still fluffy and up in the air, and it's like, oh, it sounds like he maybe kind of gets me, but I don't know what I'm opting into, or I don't know what I'm buying into. I don't know what I'm investing into. There's nothing very concrete. In this case, it would be a nice visual with the system. I'm still not going to go, and it's not going to overcome my skepticism, right?
Yeah.
Especially if, like you mentioned in the thread, if this happens to be something that they would be embarrassed to admit that they were actually involved in because of how they would be seen. Right.
Yeah,
So
yeah, no,
that concrete thing.
Yeah, that's definitely a challenge.
I'm actually working on a campaign that's very similar. It's for Mixergy, and our audience are tech startup founders, and we're trying to sell them a mindset program that involves, challenging your inner critic. There's these beads that you use to count on. I mean, it could be seen as very, very woo-woo, and that's totally not going to appeal to this crowd, but it's really helpful. So what we've been doing is really identifying the thoughts that they have in their head, and then sort of taking that knife and twisting it even more. Like, you know, you keep saying you're going to get these things done, but you never make progress. You keep, you know, saying you need to make these sales calls, so why aren't you making them? Well, this is what it is. It's these countermind thoughts. And then very much in our testimonials, we talk about what their initial fears were in signing up for TrueMind, because people in your audience are going to have those same thoughts, why you decided to do it anyway, and what your big win was. And you're going to have to help them with that, because if they just say, my life is better, but I can't tell you why, you're going to have to walk them through that. Like, what was a day at work like before, and now tell me what it's like? What was your family life like before and now? And like, really get into that with them, because you have to sell those wins to people that are going to be skeptical. So in all of our copy, it's like people have been saying, I think Paul and Angie, you have to really downplay anything that sounds woo-woo. They don't really need to know about how you're going to do this. They just need to know, this is my pain, and this is going to get me results.
Great. Awesome. Good stuff. Yeah, and I'll just add to April, what April said. She's exactly right. You have to guide people through the testimonial. Read her article that's, you know, featured on Copy Chief blog right now. It's all about that. Actually gives you an email you can send out. But I'll add to that, the way I would get the winning moment when I would interview testimonials is the last question I would ask them, I would say, can you bring me into a particular moment recently where it occurred to you, where you were doing something and it occurred to you, I would have never done this in my previous life, right, before I found this product or before I got this result. It's great in the weight loss market, for instance. If somebody's lost 60 pounds, you know, I want that small moment where it occurred to them, like, am I seriously going to the beach right now? I would have never done this, or you know, whatever it is. And it's just like, as I was packing my beach bag, it occurred to me, this is really a new life. I would have not done this before, right? So you know, that is your strongest asset right now, I think, is that you have people and you've turned their life around. You've given them new abilities and gotten them past these serious hang-ups, and everybody can relate to that. So really, your only challenge here, you've got the better problem, right? You've got the thing. Now you just need to get it out there. And I think between what John's giving you and April's giving you, and the fact that we're recognizing the problem is that you got to get over some of that entrepreneurial, that marketing ADD, and go, I'm gonna find out what a effective landing page looks like. I'm going to get as many people as I can to it, whether it's through Facebook, LinkedIn, you know, however you can get people there. Local forums, different things. You know, if people are like going to the meetups, keep the meetups, but make sure they get through your world first. They get at least indoctrinated into your download. Like, they know something about you before they show up at the meetup, other than, like you said, it's like a freebie seeker looking for infotainment. That should not be the case. It should only be people who are like, oh, wow, Andrew just walked in. It should be like a big deal to be in the presence of the Wayfinder. Right? And so that's what an effective landing page and lead magnet will do for you. It's a little salesperson that never sleeps. So go ahead, April. You want to follow up on what you just said there in the note? Yeah. Use your experience as a therapist.
So this is just kind of a side thing to use in copy, but you mentioned that you were a therapist and that you can get results a lot faster with this new system, this new method. I would use that. I would say, like, you know, instead of spending, 10 years on a therapist couch talking about your parents, this is going to get you results a lot faster. And that's another way to kind of like bring this whole thing down to earth and make it a little bit more concrete.
Yeah, no, and I agree. And actually, this is completely parenthetical, but it just occurred to me, even though I look like my photograph, that photograph is actually 8 years old. There
you go. There's another benefit. The ageless wonder.
this stuff makes you young.
Sweet. Cool. All right, Andrew. So does this give you enough to?
That's a huge amount. I've recorded it, and I'm going to listen to it.
Good.
Several times.
And the replay will be back up, so there's no hiding for any of us. This is all history now.
Yeah. Well, thanks everyone. That was really really good insight because I mean I don't have a lot of experience in this, and I have drunk a lot of marketing Kool-Aid over the years trying to figure out my way through the. Well, and also the big shift for me is learning to run a business because up until recently I've been very good at being an employee.
Right. Well, right now you have an offer that works, right? And you have one sort of method of earning income from your new passion, your new ability. So you'll get to the business problems. I think right now let's make your first problem that you're too far booked up for good prospects to want to wait that long.
Yeah,
We've got your first problem, and then we can.
That could make a difference.
Yeah, cool. All right, everybody.
So thanks a lot.
Yeah, thanks. Thank you, Andrew. This was cool. I want to thank everybody. You guys again are always amazing. Appreciate everybody on the panel. Thank you, first timers April and Jody. Great to have you guys. And let's do this again. We'll have another hot. I believe it's Wendy next week. I think Wendy Gardner is our hot seat. So
it is.
Yeah.
Exciting.
Yes, one of our beloved members are now a staff member. One of the people who keeps us all, operating correctly. So let's all show up big for Wendy next week. All right.
Another
thanks, everybody.
Another one of us UK types.
Yes, that's right as well. And so it'll be Shirley raining in dark when she's on next week.
Damn Brits.
Uh-oh, we're at World War III going right now.
It's okay, Ross. My mother's maiden name was Kelly.
Okay. We'll keep you so.
Well, cool, everybody. I'll have the roundup up a little later. Thanks for being here. I want to respect everybody's time, and I appreciate you. I'll see you inside the forum.
Ciao, guys.
Okay. Good night, all.
Bye.